this was all blown off. This was all blown off. I have scars here. And I don't remember anything else. I got to the hospital. The minute they wheeled me into ER, I coded. I coded like 4 times.
Oh my God.
They had to do what they call a carotid. They had to go in and physically pump my heart. I was more nervous because I had to tell Dominic.
Yeah.
And that was the hard part. Sorry.
It's okay.
That part gets me a little, because I was like, it was a battle. Like, do I tell him the truth? Do I not tell him the truth? So I was shot on the right. I was laying on the left, which they said was probably good because I would have bled out if I fell the other way. And then they came in, they grabbed me, they put me on a gurney. They were going to fly in the helicopter, but there was nowhere for the helicopter to land.
I was nervous to talk to you, Deb. I was nervous that I wanted to do this the right way. I wanted to treat you deserve the respect and the love and all of that stuff. And so I appreciate I'm starting to break down now. I appreciate you so much. Hey, everybody. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I want to take a moment to highlight a really important resource for parents who might be dealing with a high conflict post-separation situation. So it's called Talking Parents. It's a co-parenting app that helps you communicate safely, privately, and with full accountability. So every message, every call, and every coordination, calendars, all that stuff, everything that you do through the Talking Parent app is saved to court admissible record. So there's no confusion and there's no he said, she said. It is all right there. The app also protects your personal information, your phone number, email, and even your location from being shared, unless, of course, you choose to share them. And because nothing can be edited, nothing can be deleted, a lot of high conflict co-parents actually become more civil when using it. So if you're trying to co-parent safely, fairly, and without giving up your privacy, check out Talking Parents. Keep your information private and keep your conversations accountable. All right, everybody, welcome to the Spake Up Podcast. Shannon Spake here. I am looking forward to this episode today for so many different reasons. But first, I do want to tell you, I want to give a little disclaimer. Today's episode does contain some difficult but very important subject matter. It's about domestic violence, attempted homicide, and suicide. So listeners' discretion is advised. And as always, if you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or visit thehotline.org for help. So when I first started this podcast, obviously I knew October was Domestic Violence Month, and I knew all along one guest that I wanted to have on to talk during Domestic Violence Month. And that was a very close friend of mine from high school. Her name is Deborah Shannon. So you're going to meet her in just a few minutes. But I want to set the stage for everybody to kind of give you a little background on where I'm from. And I'll set that stage and kind of tell you that for this reason. So I was at a wedding a couple of months ago. I was dancing. I was having a great time, drinking some wine, and went to the bathroom. I was standing there with another one of the ladies. And she looked at me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we were calling you Buttoned Up Girl. We were calling you Buttoned Up Girl. And then we looked over and we saw how much fun you were having. And we're like, Buttoned Up Girl can have a good time." And I went back to my boyfriend and I was like, "Man, they just called me Buttoned Up Girl. Man, that's interesting." And I realized, like, yeah, maybe there is a lot of me right now that is buttoned up. When I did Samantha Bush's podcast, I went back and listened, and she said about me, she said, "You're always so poised and put together," which is crazy for me to hear. And a little bit, I think I have to be this way now. I've got 2 kids, 3 dogs, a cat, a full-time relationship, going from job to job. I pay my own bills. I kind of do all that stuff. So I think there is a sense of me that has to be buttoned up and has to walk on a razor's edge in order to get all this stuff done. But I will tell you this, kind of getting back to what I started, it is a complete 180 from where I was when I was in high school growing up. Complete 180. And I don't say that lightly. When I tell people where I'm from, things that I've gone through in my childhood, they don't believe it. Like, literally do not believe it. Because the high school that I went to, and when I was in high school, I wrote this out, right? I was a complete mess. I was a pretty bad kid. I was wild. a lot more wild than just the quote unquote wild. Terrible grades, alcohol, drugs, fights, all of the things that is so far away from quote unquote buttoned up girl, right? So I was that kid, and I hung with that crowd. I would love to say that we were on the edge of out of control, but that would be a lie because I think that we were totally out of control. We didn't have any rules. We did what we wanted when we wanted to do it. And it was the 90s. So hell, we could get away with it back then, thankfully. I grew up in Sunrise. So Sunrise, Florida. It's located about 10 miles west of the Atlantic Ocean, about 30 minutes north of Miami. And Sunrise from a glance probably looks and sounds like a middle-class neighborhood. It's located close to some retirement communities. Sawgrass Mills Mall is right there where all of us kids worked in the 90s. We all had jobs at Sawgrass Mills Mall. And we're pretty close to the beach. So, when you look at it, when I tell people where I'm from, everybody kind of says, oh, that's awesome. South Florida must have been such an awesome place to grow up. But for me and many of my friends, I think it was anything but awesome to grow up there because, yeah, they were all of those things, the beach and, good living and all that stuff. But as I mentioned, there was also drugs. There was also fights, and there were teenage gangs where we grew up. Many of us were on our own because our parents were working. We were low income. Parents had multiple jobs. And so we had to take care of ourselves and fend for ourselves. We would come home to empty houses. And of course, we found our way to each other. So when I mentioned the gangs, I did a little Google search because people are like, oh, gangs, right, in South Florida. But in the 90s, it was a real thing. This is what pops up. Sunrise and Broward County, Florida experienced an influx of national gangs like the Latin Kings, Bloods, and Crips, alongside local groups. The one that went to my high school was called La Familia. There were a lot of people that I hung out with and my friends. And this led to a rise in organized gang activity, which expanded from urban centers into suburban areas. I lived right next door to the head of the gang unit when I was in high school. True story. The head of the gang unit was my next door neighbor. We didn't thrive. We survived. That was South Florida in the 90s. And some of us didn't. Our high school, which is, by the way, Piper High School. Shout out Piper High School. I have my stuff right now. The principal there has completely turned that school around. I went and visited. She has done amazing things. But when we were there in the 90s, located right next to a water filtration plant, so you could smell that as soon as you pulled up to the school. We had asbestos throughout the hallways throughout the entire school when we first started. So we had classes in portables. And yeah, a lot of us did not have a lighthouse. We didn't have a beacon. We didn't know what was right, what was wrong. We just kind of did. And I don't think it was our fault. I think our parents worked a lot, obviously. And when 16-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids are dealing with divorced families, they're dealing with being poor. They're dealing with bullying, which of course happens in every single high school. I think they're going to find others who are going through the same thing and they look for an outlet. So when I left Fort Lauderdale in about 2000, I left and I did not go back. It was very painful for me to think about my childhood growing up. I didn't want to remember who I was. I wanted to hide from that sort of time, which in retrospect, I now embrace it. But on September 16th, 2012, in the early morning, I was laying in a bed in Chicago. I was out there for a NASCAR race and my phone rang. And it was really early. I don't remember if the name popped up or if it just said 954 and I answered it because it was South Florida. But it was the sister of one of my best friends from high school. I would say my best friend from high school. Deborah Shannon is my friend's name. Her sister's name is Vicky. I said hi, and Vicky sounded, really upset. And I remember like it was yesterday what she said to me. She said, Mario shot Deborah, and then he killed himself, and we don't think Deborah's going to make it. And so I'm just trying to call some people who knew her and loved her and were her really close friends to let them know. She told me that she had been shot with a shotgun. We'll clarify this with Deborah to make sure. And that the pellets were all through her lungs and she had a 1% chance to survive. I think that call rallied a lot of people who knew Deborah. I think it rallied a lot of people who were from that area, because I'll tell you one thing about the kids that I went to high school with. We may have had a very tough go at it, but we protect each other at all costs. And we did that when we were in high school. And we certainly did that when Deborah Shannon was almost killed. So Mario and Deb had been dating for a long time. They had a young son. And of course, she was fighting for her life. So as I said, October is Domestic Violence Month. And a lot of us know someone who's been the victim of domestic violence. Some might be survivors yourself. So I thought that this was a really important story to tell because while there's different levels of abuse, while there's different levels of domestic violence, I know someone who has lived through the highest level of that. And I think it's really important to share her story, something that she hasn't done. So I feel very honored to welcome my friend Deborah Shannon to the Spake Up Podcast. Hey, girl.
Hi.
So we saw each other, I guess, June and July at the reunions.
Yes.
Before that, we had not seen the previous reunion, right? Like, I think we went out on my 10.
Yeah,
20. I didn't go to 10.
Last year, yeah. And then we saw each other, I think, during the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my Piper High School shirt on.
I just noticed that.
Yeah. Did I accurately describe Piper? Because it's funny because I go out with Lee, right? Like my boyfriend, some of you guys might know, we all went to high school. Lee ran in a different crowd. He ran in a quote unquote good crowd. And he has a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Of Piper High School.
No, you described it perfectly. Perfectly. Yes. Yeah.
What do you think was so hard about it?
I mean, back then, I didn't think it was hard. Back then, no, I felt like we were living our life. We were running the streets. We were having a good time. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was, in retrospect, you look at it now, wow, the things we did, but I didn't think about it back then. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, I guess I never did either. Like, it's so crazy to think about because I lived in this world with like college sports where you would go to these campuses and these kids like knew they wanted to go to Florida State, Boston College, whatever, Notre Dame. Like they had these goals. And there were a lot of kids in our school who also had those goals.
Yes.
I had no idea that world existed.
Me neither. But you did go and went off to college. I didn't, I was still like, in La La Land, just living my best life, or so I thought.
Did you go to BCC, Broward Community College?
I went to school to be a dental assistant. That's what I did. Because it was like, either do that or get a job. I went and became a dental assistant because I had to do something. So that's what I did.
Did you ever want to leave South Florida? Like, was there ever? Yeah.
Yes. There was a point where a friend of ours that too, we were close. We were thinking about moving to Arizona, and I don't know what stopped us. And we were like, let's just go. Let's just get out of here. But it just never happened.
Who's us?
Huh?
Who's us?
Lori. Little Lori. We were thinking about it. Yeah. Many years ago, but it just never happened. So, and I just stayed. I stayed.
I tell people all the time, like, it's so hard to get out of South Florida because, like, if you drive 3 hours from where I am in Charlotte, right, you can be in Atlanta or you can be in Tennessee or you can be somewhere else. Like, if you drive 3 hours from South Florida, you're in Orlando. And, like, even like when there's hurricanes and there's evacuations, it's like, where are you going to go? Like, there's a lot of people that don't have the means. And I just mentioned, like, we grew up poor. Like, we didn't have much.
Right.
I have some pictures of us that you sent. So I want to share like just complete 90s kids. But you know what's so funny, Deb, is I was talking to Lee, my boyfriend, about this. There we are.
Wow.
This is a motley crew. Look at these girls. Look at these girls. Yep.
Wow. Yep. There we are.
We look so sweet and innocent in this one. I remember taking this picture.
And we were inseparable. We were always together. Yep.
You and I started hanging out when I was in 10th grade, because I'm a year younger than you.
Yes.
So was I in 10th?
I believe so. 10th grade, I was in 11th. Yeah.
Where did you go to middle school? Do I know this? I don't think I know.
Bear Middle School. I went to Bear. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, because I didn't start Bear until 7th grade. I was at private school. So I started at 7th, and I was a little like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't know anybody. So then when I started high school, I remember you from high school, Deb. Like, I always felt like you had your shit together. Like, I always felt like and maybe this, and when we get into the conversation about that night and the events that took place, like maybe this has served you well because you were always so strong. Like, I remember, like, I would break up with a boy and I would be just a mess, melting, crying, whatever. And you'd be like, and I know you were hurting, but you'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, am I wrong? Like, did I get that wrong? Like, did I misjudge that?
No, because I think the same way. I think I didn't care. I was tough. I was strong. What happened? Where did I go wrong? So I do think of that. Like in school, I was a totally different person. And then I think about it. What happened? Where did I go wrong? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
This had to be so early because this is what I was telling you when I talked to you. There were some pictures that we look really innocent. Like our eyes almost have this like this light in it. And then as like it goes but longer and the, you know, the partying and this right here, perfect example. Like
the nights out. Yep. The partying, the nights out. I remember that.
the groups. But I wonder why we chose this group. Look at Jen.
Yeah.
I wonder why we gravitated toward this rather than some of the other groups that were in our school. Because we could have easily hung out with like Lee and his buddies or, you know, some of the other groups that were there.
Which we knew them and which we were cool with them and we were cordial with them. I think it was just the excitement of the weekends and the nights, and we were out and we were driving around and we went to parties after parties. I think it was just the excitement of it all. Yeah.
Do you remember that one time we came back into school and listen, the statute of limitations is over at this point. So like we can, right. And we had like gone to like the gas station down the street and got beer and like had put it in coffee cups or whatever. Yeah. And we were like drinking beer in the school. Like I would literally go into class and I would lay on the floor and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything.
Nobody cared. Or someone else would call the office to sign me out, saying it was my mom, but it wasn't. It was our friends signing us out of school. I love this picture.
You had the one class, the co-op class, where they would like take the teacher into the back room and then everyone would change their grades because everything was in pencil, like on the grades.
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah, Piper was a wild school. And like I still see people to this day, and I meet people from Piper all the time. And actually, when we went back for our 20th reunion, we got to walk the halls, which was very therapeutic for me because I don't know about you, but I had dreams about that place. Yeah. Like a lot. I still have dreams about my house that I grew up in Sunrise. I still have dreams that I'm in that house, but I had dreams about Piper a lot. And when I walked the high school wall, like walked the hallways, they stopped.
Wow.
But we asked the principal there at the time, which is not the principal that is there now, if it was worse when we were there or now. And he said when we were there because of the gangs. Definitely. Because it wasn't just a fight and it went away. It was this long-standing arguments between whether it was kids in Plantation and Piper or kids. Do you remember when we had the riot?
Oh, I totally remember.
We had full-on riot cops come into our school.
They were paddy wagons outside and cops in every hallway and every corner. Oh, I remember clearly. Yeah. Yeah. In the commons area.
Yeah. In the commons area, which is a great place for a bunch of kids who all want to fight each other.
Exactly.
Hanging out in the commons area. This is in front of my house. That's a big, huge case of Budweiser that we have, right? We're all like 17.
Oh my
We're like, is that Boone's Farm? And we're like, oh my goodness. Where were our parents?
I know. Yeah. They had no control. They didn't know where we were. Oh my goodness.
The hair. Claudina's, God bless her, but her dress is like 10 times too big and yours is 10 times too small. And my hair is like, but we were feeling so good about ourselves in this.
Yes, we were.
That is one thing, no matter what, girl, we had confidence. We walked in a room. We were like, especially you. Yeah, I loved you. You were always, man. They knew when Deborah Shannon arrived. Oh, look at these. Funny. I love it.
Oh my gosh. The beach, driving around the beach in your Jeep. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
My first
always.
car was a Daihatsu Rocky, a white Daihatsu Rocky. It had no air conditioning and no power steering. I paid like $200 a month for it. And we would pull up into school and we would have like you guys or someone would be waiting in the parking lot, maybe Heather
Mhm.
L. I won't say her last name. I'm sure she doesn't care. And it would be like beach. And we'd be like, let's go. There wasn't even a thought.
There wasn't. There wasn't. We take the top down and we just cruise the beach. Yep.
There wasn't
I
even a
remember.
thought like, no, I've got a big test today, or no, I've got this today, or no, I've got to do that. It was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Yep.
There was a part, I don't know if you've ever read the book, the Motley Crue book called, God, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. There was a movie that they did as well. Shoot, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the name of the book. I'll remember it. There was a part in it where they were talking about how the guys from Motley Crue walked into like a convenience store and just started taking stuff off the walls and just like pulling stuff over. And then they got in a fight. And it was like, I know we weren't that extreme, but that's kind of what I felt like. Like we just did whatever we wanted.
Yes.
And we didn't think of the outcome.
No. And it's not like today. There was no cameras. There's no social media. They would, our parents would beep us. Do we want to call back? Did we go to a payphone? Did anybody have a quarter to go to the payphone? We're like, we'll call them later. That's how it was.
I went through my stuff recently when I moved and I found my, I got suspended with Deb one time. Yeah. And there I kept it. And it still says like suspended for 5 days or whatever. And it says the reason. We'll refrain from that because we need to protect some people here. But yeah, suspended. I tell my kids nowadays, and I tell them all the time, and I'm sure that you say this to Dominic, your son, who's now 20. We'll get into that as well. I tell them all the time, like that they have no excuse to not get it right, because first of all, I got it wrong and I got really lucky, and they have so much support now.
Right.
And like you just said, like if my kids went to Piper High School in the 90s and they were doing the shit that we were doing, I would have picked them up by their ear and moved them the hell out of South Florida.
100%. 100%.
And said, we are gone.
Yeah, for sure. I say the same thing all the time. Yeah.
So you've had a different experience with Dominic going to school down there and being down there.
Right. I did. He good kid. And I was always on top of him, but I can't complain. Great kid, never got into any kind of trouble, played sports, excelled. He didn't go to school in Sunrise. We moved out of Sunrise, but has always done well. Can't complain.
Have you dated anyone since Mario?
Not anything long-term. Like it took a while for me to just be by myself. And then it was everyone trying to set me up. And I was like, this is not going to work. And then I've always kept this to myself because I always told my friends, my family, like, let me do it. Because everyone's always asking, why haven't you met anyone? Why haven't you done any? I said, I need to do it on my own terms, on my own time. So quietly, without anybody knowing, I did try the online dating.
You did?
Horrible. Horrible. I just feel like this opened up my eyes for red flags, for crazy, and I can spot it a mile away. And I just don't tolerate it. So has anything come out of it? No. Long term? No. And I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. I just don't want to I don't want to go down that route,
Well, and I mean, quite frankly, those were the type of guys that we dated, right? Like the dangerous ones. Like, I mean, that was the norm for us. It wasn't the kids that were getting good grades and doing all this stuff. It was the boys that were trouble and started fights and did dangerous things and dropped out of school and all of those things. That was the type of kid that we dated. Except me, I dated the kid from, whatever, that broke my heart from the other school. Well, he'll remain nameless, my long-term boyfriend that I was so in love with. When did you start dating Mario?
I was 21, I believe.
But he went to our high school, didn't he?
He did. I knew him since probably I was 15, 16. And he went to school. He ended up dropping out of Piper, but he had a group of friends that I knew. So it was like I had all of us, but I knew them too. And then I knew them as I got older, probably even like 18, 19. And I hadn't seen him in a while. And I just was at the beach one night, one of the clubs down there, and I ran into him randomly. I was like, oh, hey, I hadn't seen him in a while. And then that's how we connected, because he was like, you still live at the same house? At that time, I was still living at home. No, it was about 20. I was still living at home. So you still live at the same house? And then that's how we connected. And
so
then
that would have been like 2000, right? 2001?
Well, no, because I graduated in 93. So 95 maybe, because I was about 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
then
we
just started hanging out after that. Probably, 2021. Mm-hmm.
So Deborah hasn't talked. I mentioned she hasn't kind of talked about, like, I guess outwardly. And what's crazy is I told you, we'll pop this up for a second, Spencer. When you do a Google search of your name and Mario's name, there's one article that comes up. Which is, you and I talked about this, and it's crazy, that there's one article that pops up. And when you and I talked about this, we were like, think about how much this probably happens all the time.
Right.
And it goes, non-discussed. And I know you said that you have spoken to some people about that night and about, I guess, recovering physically and emotionally and all that stuff. What is sort of the thing that you say to them and the connection that you make and sort of the, I guess, the comfort that you can give them about your experience?
I feel like my experience is probably a lot different than someone else's experience, because, and it might be weird to say, but I feel, and I say it, and I always say it was a blessing in disguise. And it might sound weird, but I feel like it happened for a reason, and it was the only way to get out of that situation. Kind of crazy to think that way, but I kind of feel like it was a relief, because something had to happen for me to probably distance myself and get away. And I don't know, it's kind of weird, but that's how I see it. That's how I've always said it. It was a blessing in disguise. I'm alive. I was here. I'm here, and it happened. So I don't know.
Had you tried to leave him before? Because then you guys were together till 12 years you guys were together.
A long time. It was a very...
Or longer than that, right? Yeah, so we said like 98. So
yeah. It was the beginning of the relationship was crazy. We were both crazy, wild, like it was a bad relationship, and it was on and off for a long time. There was periods of time where I didn't talk to him for 6 months. I didn't talk to him for a year. And then we would end up back together again. It was on and off for years and years and years. And then I got pregnant. I had Dominic. After Dominic, I feel like I completely changed. He didn't change. So did we try a little bit when Dominic was born? We tried, again, it was on and off. And then there was a period where I was like, I have to step away. But I wanted to be cordial with him. I wanted to have a relationship with him for Dominic's sake. But it was always volatile. It was always, I couldn't, we couldn't see eye to eye. He was still doing the same thing, and I was trying to move forward. I have a kid. I wanted to be cordial. So what led up to this point was he had a lot of issues, things that were going on in his life, things that I had to step in and help him with, which everyone said, stay away, back off. But I couldn't. I had to.
Was it just mental illness, or was it like financial and stuff like that?
No, mental stuff. Yeah. Financial? No. But mental, yes. And I feel like I had to, for Dominic's sake. Let me do this. Let me help him.
And you loved them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what led to this was he was going through a lot of stuff. His family was helping him as well. So I was trying to be like, let's get along so we can take Dominic to dinner, so we can sit at the baseball field and be cordial, and then a year or so leading up to this, he was going through a lot of stuff, and he kept trying to get me and Dominic back to live with him because his parents had helped him buy a condo that he was renovating. He wanted us to live with him. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, we're friends. Let's just be friends. Let's just be friends. But I think I was probably, and this is my fault, probably giving him too much like false hope, because I was coming around. I was like, you guys want to go to dinner? Sure, let's go. I probably should have been like, no, take your kid and we'll see each other later. So I probably was giving a little bit false hope. I was hanging out with him more than I should have. And that night was, he said, I was going to a birthday party of a friend that he was very good friends with, but had kind of lost touch with. And he was kind of upset that he wasn't invited to the party and I was going to the party. But he said, whatever. Had a good time at the party. He called me. He said, stop by on your way home. I want to show you the renovation I did for Dominic's room. Because that was his way of like, look what I'm doing. I'm fixing up the place. You guys can come live with us. And I went. And I shouldn't have went. And all downhill from there. Yeah.
Had he ever been violent before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But early on, there was a long period where nothing ever happened. After Dominic was born, he did. One time he got really violent where I did file a restraining order. And then I got rid of it because then everything was okay. And then he was having visitation rights with Dominic. So I was like, okay, he's being fine. And it was years. It was years. Yeah. It was, verbal, a lot of verbal abuse and us arguing and stuff like that. But I would say the last 6 to 8 months, maybe a year before this happened, it's like he was trying for us to be a family. He kept saying we could be a family, and he wanted us to move in with him. And I was very adamant. I was like, no, let's just be friends. We can get along. And I went over there to see the apartment, to see, Dominic's new room that he did. And I should have never went.
What do you remember? I guess before we get into it, did you ever feel like he might go this far as to try to kill you?
I used to say it to friends. If he kills me, if he killed, who did it. I used to say it all, but joking. I really was joking. I didn't honestly in my heart believe it. Was he a little, out of control sometimes? Yes. But I did say it. I never really thought. I honestly did not think. But I did verbalize that. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you wonder if did he ever threaten you with those words, right? Like if you're never going to leave me, I'm never going to so how could you even know going over to the house?
Right. I mean, he was verbally abusive. He was, did he say that to me? He probably did. Did I take it seriously? No, I didn't. I didn't. I really didn't. I would say it, but I don't think I said it and I really honestly believed it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was tough. I look back now and I'm like, I was so weak.
Oh, girl.
I could handle it. Like, I got this. Like, he could be whatever he wants to be, but I got it. But no, looking back now, I'm like, no, I was weak.
No. People stay for different reasons, and people it's not weakness. I mean, you had a child, and I'm not trying to give you therapy here or whatever, there were certainly probably reasons why you did it. And I think walking away from the father of your child and not seeing them ever again can also be considered that, right? Trying to have a relationship with him for the sake of your son.
Yeah.
I think I applaud you for that. You know what I'm saying?
That was the most important part towards the end. I just was like, I didn't want Dominic to see us arguing and fighting. I wanted him to be able to sit next to me at the basketball court and watch Dominic play. That's what I wanted. And some days it was great, and some days he was horrible.
That's not weak. That's
Yeah.
That's being a very strong mother and something I can't do at this point. So I don't find that weak at all. So you said you went over there. What do you remember from the events that took place?
So I went over to meet him at the condo. He wasn't there. There was a key because he was doing a lot of renovations. So he had a key there. So I went into the condo. I don't remember much after that. I was there first before he got there. And the only thing I remember is at some point, and the neighbor came. The neighbor is the one who actually called the police. So me sitting down with her after kind of helped, she told me a lot. But I do remember at one point, I guess she came because she was hearing a lot of banging and knocking. And what she told me was she thought he was doing construction on the house. And it was like somewhere between 11 and midnight that this happened. And so she came over to the condo door to tell him, like, it's late, it's a lot of noise. And when she peeked through the window, she saw him. He had me up against the wall, and she saw through the window. So she was banging and banging and banging. And finally he came to the door. And when he came to the door, I ran out. So I ran out, and I was standing behind her, and she was holding me, and she was holding him back. And she kept saying,
God.
Calm down, calm. And that's the only part I remember. I remember her telling him to calm down, and me standing behind her. And I kept saying, call 911, call 911. And she said, calm down, let me take her with me. And he was in her face yelling at her. And she told me that she thought I stepped away from her, and I just looked at her and I said, call 911. And she goes, I thought that you thought he was going to hurt me. That's why you stepped away. And then as soon as I stepped away, he pulled me back inside into the apartment. And then she went and called 911, and then she heard it. But she said she did not think it was a gunshot. She goes, I honestly thought it was an older condo, so they have those heavy, like, jalousie window doors, and she thought the door had slammed, but she heard the gunshot. And so the cops came, and they were banging on the door, and they couldn't hear anything. And they're like, nobody's there. And she was insisting. She's like, she is there. You have to go in. And they're not allowed to go in. And she kept screaming, there's her car. There's his car. She didn't walk out. She just ran in her condo to grab the phone and came back outside. And then they said I called out, and I said, I'm here. And then they broke down the door, and they came and got me. Yeah.
So had he already killed himself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently, here's the door, and I'm in front of the door and facing this way, and he shot me, and I went down on the left side. He shot me here on the right side, and I went down on the left, and then he shot himself here. So he was behind. So when I was right in the front, right by the front door. So I guess I woke up. I guess I heard, and I said, I'm here. And they heard me. So they broke down the door. So I was shot on the right. I was laying on the left, which they said was probably good because I would have bled out if I fell the other way. And then they came in, they grabbed me, they put me on a gurney. They were going to fly in the helicopter, but there was nowhere for the helicopter to land because it was trauma. And they said, well, we got to go. And they just threw me in probably about 5 or 6 cop cars. And we went all the way east to Broward General, what's called Broward General at the time. It was just in Fort Lauderdale because that was a level 3 or whatever trauma center. And they said, I laughed because the firefighters, which I met after, kept saying, all you kept saying was, my name is Deborah Shannon. My name is Deborah Shannon. And they're like, we know your name.
I mean, the fact that you were, well, somewhat, right? You don't remember.
I don't remember any of that.
Well, that's your brain blocking the trauma out, right? I mean, that's your brain protecting you from
Yes.
Think about like closing your eyes and seeing those images over. I mean, that's your brain protecting you.
Yeah. The only thing I remember was being with the neighbor. That's the only part I remember. I don't remember anything else. I just remember that. Apparently I went like this. So this was all blown off. This was all blown off. I have scars here. And I don't remember anything else. I got to the hospital. The minute they wheeled me into ER, I coded. I coded like 4 times.
Oh my God.
They had to do what they call a carotid. They had to go in and physically pump my heart. I had 4 or 5 surgeries back to back to back that same night. They told my family 1%. They said they came out and they told everyone expect, 1%. Either if she makes it through the night, she's gonna have, lots and lots of complications. If she makes it, she'll probably be in here for 4 to 6 months. She'll probably be in rehab 6 to 9 months. If she makes it. Well, day 1, night 2, night 3, I was in a medically induced coma for 2 weeks.
Jesus.
I remember them waking me up from the coma and then telling me they were going to take out the intubation. They didn't. So they put me back in a coma. And then finally, when they took it out, I don't know. I woke up 2 weeks in the hospital and the surgeon's like, get out. What are you still doing here? And I'm like, I don't want to go home. I was scared to go home, but I walked out in 28 days.
Jesus.
28 days. Yeah.
Now, I think the reason it was so severe, and again, getting shot, right, is severe enough. But excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong. It was a shotgun. So you had the pellets like throughout you, right? Like, in your lungs and everything, right?
I still have them, yes. So it's called a buckshot. A buckshot is one solid bullet that releases a ton of lead pellets. It's like for someone who's going to shoot birds. So all the pellets release. So the pellets, it landed here because when the firefighters picked me up, the casing was still stuck in my chest.
Oh
but
my God.
Pellets had went through. So pellets throughout here, down my neck, all in my arm, all throughout my lungs. So if you see an x-ray, it's like lit up like a Christmas tree. They're still there. There's nothing you can really do. You can't go in and surgically take them all out. Some of them come to the surface, which they have over the years. I had them down like on my thigh too, even though I had on pants. It went through my pant, through my jeans, all in my thigh. So some of them have come out. Some of them are still in. They're still here. If you see the little,
wow,
they come through. This was blown off. This whole.
I remember a picture of you with the arm band on, right?
This was completely blown open. They were going to cut it off and then this was all blown up. And then I had what they call bilateral chest tubes because, my lungs collapsed, my ribs were broken. They did a bilateral chest tube, which they haven't, 2 on each side, which apparently is completely unknown. Like they don't do that very much. They had to call somebody in from a different hospital to do it so I can breathe. I had to get 1 lobe of my right lung removed. There's 3 lobes. They had to remove 1. They had to remove the gallbladder and severe nerve damage in this hand. So I couldn't use this hand for a very long time. I still don't have feeling in this hand at all. Like I don't feel it, but I did a lot of therapy so I can move it. Yeah.
What was the first thing you remembered when you woke up in the hospital? Is Jen sitting right there listening? No. She's
out there. I don't know. I woke up and the first thing I remember is waking up and them telling me they're going to take this intubation out and they didn't. And
did you know what had happened? Like, did you like?
I don't remember knowing, but someone had told me I woke up at some point and they had the intubation and I guess I was trying to talk. So they gave me like a whiteboard and I wrote very sloppily, but I wrote his name. And they're like, she's writing his name. Like, so I guess I remembered at that point and I was writing on the whiteboard. So I was trying to tell them what happened. But when I woke up, I knew, but you're so on so many levels. You're kind of like in your own little world. Yeah. I knew, but I didn't know everything. Yeah.
When were you told?
Probably 3 weeks, maybe a week after I woke up from the coma, and they took out the intubation and I was able to talk. And then everyone started saying, this is what happened. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize what had happened. I don't think. I guess I knew when I was writing it on the whiteboard, but I don't remember that part. I don't remember. But
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, I guess the emotions that you sit with today are probably different, but probably the same. Like every day is probably different, right? I can imagine. But what were the emotions for you when you have a child? The father of your child just tried to kill you and killed himself, so he's gone. You're in bad shit. What were the, like, naturally you would think people would be angry, hatred, all of that stuff. What were your emotions attached to it initially?
I don't feel like I was angry. It's weird. I don't feel like I was angry. I was more nervous because I had to tell Dominic.
Yeah.
And that was the hard part. Sorry.
It's okay.
That part gets me a little, because I was like, it was a battle. Like, do I tell him the truth? Do I not tell him the truth? But then I was like, I knew I had to tell him the truth. I wasn't angry, but I kind of, and again, it's weird. Like I said before, I was relieved. Even though I was battling and I had such a long recovery and all of that, it was a relief. I really felt like, thank God.
Was it hard for you to be able to say that? Like,
Yeah.
It was a relief? Like,
yeah, I think so. I think people thought, really? She says that? Like, I always say, oh, it was a blessing in disguise. I'm fine. I'm fine. And even though maybe on the inside I wasn't completely fine, but I used to say, I'm fine, because it was a sense of relief. It was like, this chapter is over, finally. Because I didn't think like I was ever, because we had a kid together, I was never going to be free, whether we got along, whether things got better. I don't think it was ever going to get to that point. I don't think it was ever going to get better. I don't think he was ever going to change. So I did feel a sense of relief. I did. And I hate to say it, but I was happy in a sense, almost, because
you're allowed to say it, Deborah.
Yeah.
It's your story.
Yeah.
Like, we're allowed to say whatever we want, especially when it's attached to something this severe, right? I mean, and something that you battled like for a very long time. Like, I mean, that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
How did you tell Dominic? Like, for people that go through this, and obviously, like I said at the beginning of this, your situation is so drastic and so intense. Like, but just in general, there are a lot of women and men that have to tell their children. How did you do it?
So I knew pretty early on, like I thought about it even in the hospital, because he was 7 at the time, and everyone told him that I was in a car accident, but they didn't bring him to the hospital until I was out of the coma, till I was able to sit up and I could talk. So I knew that I wanted to tell him, but that's what he thought. He thought that I was in a car accident. And then I said, I have to tell him. I just wanted to be stronger. So I waited until I was able to come home. And then I waited probably another month after being home, because I wanted to be able to be, a little bit stronger. When I first got home, it was really tough. Probably a month or 2 in, I told him the truth. It was so hard to tell a 7-year-old. I did emphasize a lot because he was using drugs, and I said, your dad was on drugs and he wasn't in his right state of mind. And this is what happened. You know, I flat out told him he tried to kill me. He used a gun. He tried to shoot me, and your dad killed himself. It was very hard, and he cried. I don't think he fully understood, but I had to tell him, and then I threw him right into therapy, like right away. And I said, that was the therapist. I did therapy. He did therapy. We did family therapy together. And they told me that was the best thing. I should have told him the truth. I should have never lie. And it was the best thing for him. And he asked a lot of questions. He asked a lot of questions, but I felt like it was the best thing for him. I couldn't lie to him. I think he understood. You know, I think he understands more now, but I think he was really focused. Like, he was just on drugs, Mom. He was on drugs. And I was like, yes, he was on drugs. I mean, he was, but, you know, I told him, and I took him to buy a fish because that's what he wanted. We left. I had to let's go buy your fish that you wanted. But yeah, I told him right away.
He didn't ask where his dad was during that whole time?
He thought he was in an accident too. So when I came home, before that, Mario was kind of seeing Dominic, but not all the time. So it was kind of like he was supposed to have his visitation and weekends. And was he taking him all the time? Not really. So for him, it was like, oh, I don't see him this weekend, or he's missing. It wasn't anything new for him. So I guess when this happened, the family, everyone told him that we were both in an accident, but he came and saw me first, that he was still recovering in the hospital. And then I told him the truth.
It's so interesting because you and I spoke on the phone very briefly because like I said at the beginning, I didn't know a lot of this story. I had heard sort of treetops from Jen, your best friend, someone that we went to high school with as well, and your sister. But when we talked on the phone, you called it your accident. And I thought that really resonated with me. I was like, I actually talked to someone about it. I was like, I just find that such a fascinating term that she called it an accident, where it blatantly is not an accident, this person, but maybe that's why you call it, because is that how you referenced it with Dominic?
I did. Yeah. And I always say that though. And I always say, I don't know what else to say, because I still, to this day, I'm like, when I had my accident, because what do I say when I'm talking about it? It's just, I don't know. But I think I kind of dumbed it down a little bit for him at the time, because he was only 7. So I said, we had an accident. This is what happened. He was using drugs. He wasn't in his right state of mind. And that's how I perceived it as him. And he was. I'm sure he was on something that night. I don't know, but I'm sure he was.
What kind of things that we didn't see? Was there legal stuff? Did he get charged with attempted murder? Did he what, and not that it matters post-more, after he's already gone, but were there legal things that you then had to deal with?
No, because he died. If he didn't, I would have, because the detective came to the hospital when I was up and talking, and we went over a lot of things. And they said that, if they wanted to get my side, they had to take my story and I had to explain things to them. And they said, if he did survive, we would be going through a whole court case, but they pretty much just had to take my story, and that was it.
How do you handle that? Because it's still his dad, right?
Yeah. So, my sister, right after this happened, my sister had made him a book, a collage book of pictures for him to have. And that's what we had. I don't really keep pictures around, honestly.
Except the ones that you sent me of us in high school.
Well, and it's funny because I went through these pictures were all in a bin in a storage unit. And I said, I have to go get them. But I pulled out pictures for him. Well, I lie. A couple months ago, I had went through, because Dominic is really into cars and race cars and all that stuff. And I talked to him about his dad. I say stuff. I'm like, oh, you must got that from your dad, because your dad used to have this car and used to like to race it at the racetrack. And I don't believe you, Mom. And I went and I pulled out pictures, because why not? Why not give him some of those pictures of his dad's cars? And, some pictures of him. And Dom has them. He kept them. And then recently when I went to look for our pictures, I found more. So we went through it and he was just laughing because they were old pictures from like late 90s, early 2000s. Then I'm showing him pictures and he's like, oh, but I don't really keep pictures. And I said, I gave him a handful. Do you want these? And he's like, okay. And he took them. But we joke around sometimes because he has a lot of his mannerisms and things that he does. And I'll be like, oh, that's your dad, but yeah, I don't keep pictures around.
Yeah.
No.
You said therapy for Dominic, like, obviously that probably, listen, you told me on the phone, he's got straight A's, graduated, like you said he's going to be a firefighter now.
Yes.
There is you think about the situation that we came from, right? There's every reason that Dominic should have struggled.
100%.
That is a testament to you.
Yeah.
My love and the people that are around you and around him.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a lot of trauma for a little person and a lot of trauma for you to be able to keep it together. You talk about, being weak or any of that stuff. That's complete bullshit. Because to keep it together and to raise a son, where I'm sure there were plenty of days where you wanted to just stay in bed.
Oh, it was like that at the beginning. It was like that at the beginning, but I felt like he was the only reason I got out of bed every day. He was the only reason that I kept going. I was like, I can't show weakness. Did I cry in the shower at night? You bet I did. Did I cry in bed at night? For a long time I did, but it was.
What did you cry about? Did you cry about missing Mario? Did you cry about just?
You know what I felt? I used to say, this mother, he won. Like he did the ultimate thing that he verbally abused me. He mentally abused me. He physically abused me for years on and off. And he won. That's what I used to think. And then I would have to get that out of my head. I was like, get that out of your head. Like, I won. I'm here. I'm here. So that was a big part of it. And I just had to keep, I would look at Dominic and I had to keep going. I had to stay strong for him. He had to be better. I had to raise him better than him. So, and that was just what I lived for him. So I just had to keep going.
I thought I heard a story like in the hospital, you sat up and said Dominic's name or something, or did they bring audio recordings of your son to you?
My sister, she used to record him because he thought I was in the hospital, I was in an accident. So my sister would say, talk to mommy, and I'll let her listen to it. And he would say stuff on the audio, and then my sister would play it in my ear. And she said that she would see tears, like tears were coming down. I was still intubated, so I couldn't talk, but I could hear. So every day they would play, he would record stuff every day. Yeah. And then probably 2.5 weeks after I was out of the coma and I was able to sit up, I had an amazing nurse. I was still in the ICU and they're like, Dominic's coming today. She's like, get up, let's go. She put me in a chair. She took out all the crazy machines that I was finally off of. And then put me in a chair and he came running in the room. He went to jump on me and everyone's like, no. And the first thing he said to me was, Mommy, you smell.
You're like, I haven't showered in a
I've been in the hospital. Probably some blood places. I was like, thanks. That was the first thing he said to me. But it was great. And he was there every day after school. He came. They brought him every day. Yeah.
How long do you think it took for you, and maybe you're not, listen, I mentioned earlier, when we were in high school, you shook shit off better than anybody, right? Yeah. You just kept on walking.
Yeah.
Right? It nothing, very little phased you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were strong.
Yeah. How long did it take? I don't know.
I'm sure you still, maybe it's still going,
Sometimes I would say a good year, 2 years, because there was always a lot of things happening. People were always asking me and talking to me, and I had to do a lot of therapy, and so some days it was really hard doing the therapy and trying to walk and the breathing and my hand. I didn't think I was going to be able to use my hand again and all that stuff. But as the years went on, it's just gotten easier. So sometimes it bothers me. Sometimes I still think about it. I mean, I think about it every day, but I think about how much stronger I am, how far I've come along, how great my kid is, and how totally different he is, because that was my main focus. I used to say, oh God, just don't have those tendencies. Don't have that. Everyone laughs. He used to be sleeping and I would whisper in his ear, don't do drugs. Don't. But, as the years went on, I got stronger, and I don't try to think about it all the time, but it happens.
That's, Lauren, my sister, Lauren,
Yeah.
Recovering addict. And I have never shied away from that with my kids. I've never shied away from the things that I did as a kid. I've always been completely honest, the same way you were with Dominic, because then that opens that conversation for you to go, here are signs. I'm starting to see something. We need to stay on top of this. I need to be worried about this, whether that be anger or if there's pain, right? Like if you don't talk openly about it and he's having pain,
right,
like emotional pain about something, then he's not going to know how to talk to you about that.
exactly.
And so I think that's, it's like, hey, you need to watch out for this, right? You don't do drugs, because we have a tendency in our, in my background and in whatever to lean on that a little bit more than some other people. So yeah, I think that's, and, I mean, again, I don't regret anything that happened when we were growing up. I know it was a hard life and I started that, but I know it's made me stronger. And just listening to you kind of talk about the situation with Mario too, it's very evolved, because you did tell me that you never speak poorly about him with Dominic. And it's very evolved, because I said to you, it's not like a guy that you just like got divorced from or whatever. Like he tried to kill you, and that's, oof.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, like I said, I've always been very open, completely open with Dominic, about everything, very open about it. I just didn't want him to go down that route. I just wanted him to be a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit, it's just, I don't know.
Well, he's got you, baby. He's got your genes too.
I hope so.
I know. And so tell me, before we wrap up, just, I guess you kind of had a full circle moment, right? So you briefly told me this, like Dominic's going to be a firefighter, and tell me what happened there.
So Dominic was in fire. I think he was in his EMT class. He's never, ever talked about what happened, told anybody, his friends, but he felt comfortable enough to tell his instructor. He showed him a picture, and he was, hey, it was a picture of me with the firefighters that rescued me.
We have that picture, Spencer. Yeah. You want to pop that up?
And he said to them, yep, there they are. And he told his instructor, hey, do you know any of these guys? And they were like, yeah, that's, my friend of 20 years. How do you know? And he's like, that's my mom, and told the story. And they were shocked, because he had remembered that story, because he was on shifts at that department, and then went back and told one of the firefighters there. And he said, oh my gosh, I remember that story. I remember. And he wanted to meet Dominic. So Dominic has met him so many years later, talked to him. How's your mom? How's everything? I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad you're becoming a firefighter. Has helped him with the gear and all that stuff. So it's like a full circle moment. He's like, this is amazing that this is what you're doing. And he complimented him, saying the instructors have nothing but good things to say about him, that they're happy he's going down this route. So yeah, it's been a full circle moment.
These are the guys that saved your life.
Yep. Those were them.
Do you ask them about... Do you ask them about do you ask them about like the specifics?
Yeah, they're the ones that told me that I kept repeating my name. They kept telling me that, they told me how the shell casing was still stuck in my chest, and they didn't want to touch it because God forbid. They also said it was kind of funny because I had a blood pressure cuff on, and every time I got tighter that I would yell and tell them, take this off, take this off. But they were shocked. They were shocked. I walked in there a couple months later to go meet with them and see them. I did the same thing at the hospital. I went to go meet all the nurses and doctors and everything to meet them. But if it wasn't for them, because wow, they were on it. They were on it. They got me there just in time. Just in time. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know that you haven't shared this story with a lot of people openly. And I truly think that I hope that this is sort of a catalyst for you to do that, because I think you're one of the strongest people that I know. I don't know how many people could come from where we came from, be where you've been, and just continue to push forward and fight and have such a positive sort of outlook on it. I feel very blessed to know you for many, many reasons. Obviously we're such a huge part of my life, such a pivotal part of my life. And I know that there was 20 years where we haven't spoken. There's this very protective chip when it comes to the people that came out of Sunrise, Florida in that time. When we saw each other at the reunion, all of those people, it's like you almost look at each other and be like, man, we made it, but here we are, and I got your back.
Yeah. And I felt that way because when this happened, and I know you remember because you were a part of that, everyone put together a fundraiser when they thought I wasn't going to make it. And they put a fundraiser together to help support Dominic at that time. And everyone from high school, from middle school, people that I didn't even know came out there. People donated money. This was back before GoFundMe was a thing. And I think you donated your fire suit,
I think I got Jimmy Johnson to sign some stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
And I could.
Yes. And because I had a 1% chance, and they were like, we have to step up and do something for Dominic, because they were saying I wasn't going to make it. And I was so unbelievably grateful. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. And when it actually happened is when I woke up from the coma. And I had a good friend that stayed with me at the hospital time because she was pregnant. So she's like, I'm not going to the fundraiser. And she was on FaceTime, and everybody's FaceTiming. And I'm in the hospital while everyone's at this fundraiser. And I'm like, I don't even know some of these people. But I was so grateful for everyone that was there, and everyone that donated, and everyone that helped me and helped Dominic. It was 100% for Dominic, because I wasn't supposed to live, but I did. And I was unbelievably grateful because I was out of commission for a long time.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just that protective chip. It's like almost like,
yes, they all came together. It was like high school reunion.
It's such a weird thing, right? Because you just feel all this. There's just so many emotions attached to those years, right? Pain and like just, like it was so hard. But at the same time, you look at the people around you, like you and Jen and everybody, and you're like, well, we all went through this together. Like, so why aren't we together? Like we have this commonality where why am I over here and they're over here and they're over here and they're over here? Why aren't we kind of talking about this and healing together? Yeah. And laughing about it. I even tell my kids they're going to homecoming this weekend, and they're like, we don't want to go. Like, homecoming sucks. I'm like, yeah, it sucks. But in 20 years, you're going to be able to like laugh about how bad it sucks. Right. And that's what's fun about it.
Exactly.
We
loved homecoming.
We never went to, did we ever go to football games? We never went to football games.
Maybe.
Sometimes. I thought we just hung out in parking lots and
we did that.
Drank. And
yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, they're like, when they talk about, being offended, because obviously a lot of people are offended nowadays. I always say that I was raised on a heavy dose of Two Live Crew and John Hughes movies. Nothing offends me. Like
100%.
Like Two Live Crew was the theme song to my life, and NWA. And like,
nobody understands South Florida music like we understand South Florida music. Nobody gets it.
Get DJ Laz on this podcast. So seriously, because it is like there were painful times, but my goodness, did we come in hot, right? Like, fifth gear, I remember driving Tanya Campbell. I shouldn't say her name, but I remember driving Tanya's RX-7 down to the edge and smoking cigarettes the whole way. Didn't have a license, or like maybe I didn't have a license at the time, but like, and then was I using her fake ID to try to get in, and I
Probably.
didn't get in, and so then I had to drive because you guys stayed there, and just
Probably.
like
Yeah.
so many silly
crazy
things.
times, good times, but you know, I don't know. I say I wouldn't change it because when this happened to me, everyone rallied together. Everyone came back out of the woodwork that I hadn't seen, and I was so grateful. So it's like we still have that hardcore, you know, anything happens, everybody will be there.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, I got your back. It's like, you know, when you're in a street fight and you're with your, you know, I mean, that's what that our high school was basically. Like every day was like a street fight to survive. And then when you come through it with those people, you're like, well, I had your back while we were in there. I might have had to get away for a little bit to deal with my own trauma from that time. But I'm back now. I think that's kind of all I got for you. Again, I'm so incredibly grateful for you to talk to you. I know I immediately reached out to you when I started this podcast, and I said, would you consider doing this? And you were like, yeah, which I think is crazy that you haven't talked to this is,
I know.
And I really hope that
all the time. She's like, tell your story, write a book. Dude, I'm like,
oh my gosh.
1 year led to the next. I don't know. It just never happened. I talk. I have no problem talking to people.
Yeah.
Not at all, but just I've never talked to it in such a big capacity. Yeah.
It's so powerful, this story and the love for Dominic that got you through, and then just the strength that you have and all of that stuff. And it would be, you know, the Piper tie would definitely be there as well. So
for sure.
That's where you got your hardness.
Exactly. We all did.
All right. I know that you are at Jen's house. Jen is, I won't say her last name because I actually don't know her now last name. I only know her by her maiden name. I do know it. It's because I see it on Facebook. But Jen, we were all friends, and you just celebrated your rebirth day, right?
We're actually celebrating it this weekend. I mean, it was last month, but she was away in Switzerland. So I'm at her house this weekend, and we're celebrating.
Because the day was September. I have it written down in here.
It was actually September 14th. September 14th, 2012. Yep.
How do you spend that day?
Well, early on, we used to call it my rebirth day. That's what they call it. And we celebrate it. As the time has gone on, I mean, everyone acknowledges it. They always do. They call me on my rebirth day and we celebrate it. But they're taking me out this weekend. They do it every year. We had to postpone it a little bit this time, but every year we just celebrate. They're just, you know, grateful to be here.
I forgot to ask you this. Did you ever have to go back into that apartment?
No.
You never went back in there?
No. It was like condemned for a little bit. And then I think his parents sold it, but no.
Yeah,
I talked to see that scene.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. Maybe even after they cleaned it up, right? Like it just go back in there. Because I had a woman on who lost her husband out in Las Vegas, and that was what I asked her, if she went back to the place where he was shot. Like, you know, sometimes, like, you know, you talk about like, you know, I've heard, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. like going back to the place where his dad lost his life, or, you know, people kind of going back to that place. And so because that place is significant to your life as well, not just Mario's, the rebirth, so to say, I just wonder if you ever went back in there. And
it wasn't part of me. It was his family. So no, never did. Yeah. It's not far from where I live now. Not at all, but no. Never.
Well, you guys go enjoy that tequila.
I know.
I hope that I was nervous to talk to you, Deb. I was nervous that I wanted to do this the right way. I wanted to treat you deserve the respect and the love and all of that stuff. And so I appreciate I'm starting to break down now. I appreciate you so much for talking to me. I really feel honored to have, you know, been the person that you talked to. And I'm
comfortable with you. Appreciate you reaching out to do it, for sure.
And you're an amazing mom.
Thank you.
As awesome as you are a person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You
All
too.
right. Enjoy tequila with Jen.
Okay, I will.
Do a shot for Piper High School and La Familia.
So funny I can't believe you wore that shirt.
And the Gerties.
At first I'm looking at it. I'm like, that looks familiar.
I went back there. The principal had me back there. Lee and I went back.
Uh-huh.
And we showed up in the parking lot, and she had the band out there, and she had the cheerleaders.
Oh yeah, I did. I saw your video. Yeah.
And I knew that she didn't do that for me. She did that for those kids to know that somebody came from that place.
It's doing amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Trying. But it was really special. Like, as painful as it was, there are there are some memories that are also beautiful. Like WKPX, like who knows? Like if I had not worked at that radio station, if I didn't do that, who knows if I would have this today? Like,
exactly.
I remember going to WSVN on like a trip one time and seeing the newsroom and kind of being like, oh, this is what I want to do. So and like I said, the principal that is there now, she is incredible.
Yeah.
The stuff that she is, like Lee and I were sitting in a conference room having a conversation with her, and both of us started to cry.
Wow.
Her telling us like the stuff that she's doing for the kids there, because we did not have that back then. Yeah. And these kids do, and she's providing it for them. And so I wear this proudly now. Yeah. Because I'm proud to be an alum of Piper High School, because I'm proud of her and what she's doing.
That's great.
And the opportunity that those kids are getting. So
needed it for sure.
Yeah. But man, it was something.
Yeah. I've taken Dominic by there. I was like, you want to see where I went to high school?
It was something.
Yeah.
It was something.
Because I told him, you're going that opposite way. He went, I took him to Coral Springs. Coral Springs, remember, was always like our rival. They were better. So he went to school up there. But yeah.
It was something, man. Oof.
I can't. When I drive by now, it's so different. I'm like, oof. I never go that way. I always go more north because
I didn't even know how I was getting home from school half the time. Like, could you imagine sending Dominic to school and like not knowing how he was going to get home from school? Like, I'd say, Francesca, can I get a ride? Sometimes I had to walk home. Like,
exactly. Me too. Exactly.
How you're getting home? Because for the people might say, why didn't you take a bus? Well, we live too close to the school
to take a bus. Yeah,
that's right. I actually in 8th grade, I don't know if you had to do this. We had to take the city bus.
The city bus, the green one. Yeah,
city bus. And pay like 50. We're in 6th and 7th grade, and we're getting on a city bus at 7 a.m. with there'd be drunks coming back from the bars.
I know. The city bus, and I had to walk, or Jen used to have the shitmobile, we used to call it. And she would
Chevette.
The Chevette, you remember?
Oh, yeah. Remember the little red Chevette? That's what we used to say, right?
Little red Chevette. And it had no air conditioning either. And she would make me walk outside of where I live so she didn't have to drive through the complex to pick me up. Yeah.
Do you remember the kids with the local minis, which was like the club, the truck club? Yes. And they would drop their cars down so low. So funny. My kids asked me like, if that's so low, how do they get over the speed bumps? I'm like, they don't. Remember, they used to have to drop us off outside Heather Burns' neighborhood, like, because we would have to walk to her house because they couldn't get us.
That's how his dad's car was too. And I would show Dominic pictures of this. Come.
Hi, Jen. Here's the infamous Jen with the little red Chevette. We were just talking about you.
Talking about the little red Chevette.
Are we allowed to curse the shitmobile?
Oh yeah, we can curse. I curse all the time.
I've been eating pretzels and drinking margaritas outside with Jason. Did I have anything on your teeth? Shannon, you should have just come here. We could have done it live.
We should have. We should have.
Visit us.
Yeah.
Next time. We'll do it next time. Deal. I'm wearing my Piper shirt, Jen.
Wait, you still have that?
Oh, no, I got it recently. They have swag now. I was telling Deborah that I went back to Piper. Lee and I went there, and they had like the band outside for me. And
I saw it online. I saw it. That's awesome.
She's done some great things with that school. She really has. It was really emotional to hear some of the things that she's doing for the kids, because we just went down memory lane a little bit about Piper. It was
how it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My margarita.
Deb sent me a picture of the basketball team, me on playing basketball on the team there the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is a blast from the past.
Because when I was looking for pictures to send to her, because she posted some pictures, I found some. I'm like, oh, look at your basketball picture.
I'm like, thanks. I thought I burned all those.
No, seriously, like, thank God people have to scan photos nowadays. Like, when they come and they're like Throwback Thursday, I'm like, I've literally spent 25 years trying to forget this moment.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't want a throwback. Please
Exactly.
don't.
Yeah.
And every time my name pops up on Facebook and like people are posting pictures, I like look, and if I've survived another one, put that Spencer, will you put that picture up so Jen can see it of us in the formal wear? There it is.
That one.
My God. Oh my God. Look at Claudina. Oh my God. Shannon, Jesus, your hair was huge. I mean, I remember it being big, but that was really big. Oh my God.
Look at my dress.
You can thank Deb for having a giant Rubbermaid container filled with this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I sent her a bunch of pictures.
Deb-
You're in one of them.
Oh, please no.
Deb, where did you get that dress? Because I know I feel like
That's
I borrowed.
Tanya's dress.
That's
What?
Mariah Carey.
That's Tanya Campbell's dress. I borrowed
Jen
it.
did look like Deborah did look like Mariah
that
Carey.
was in
We
her
always said
Mariah
that.
Carey era. You
Yeah.
totally do. There's a picture of me and you on the beach that
Yeah.
you've sent me, and
Yeah.
you look exactly like Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember I couldn't walk in that dress because I was pretty chunky in high school, and like
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you
sure
were
I.
so chunky.
Oh yeah, I was. I'm sure I mean, like you could see my. Oh, Jesus. Take that off.
God, you look amazing. You're so
Oh God, yeah, I look amazing. Yeah, that's quite the look right there, Jen. I should.
your
bring
hair
it
is
back.
like, you would be great in an 80s party right now.
I know.
Thank goodness. But you know what? It's funny because I said to Lee the other day, because like we've said to each other before that we should sunrise our kids, right? You know, legally, what's legal, right?
Mhm.
Like I just said, send them to school. Don't tell them how they're getting home. They don't have any
Right.
money. Lock the doors and don't give them a key, because remember, like we never, like I would lose my key all the time and have to
Yeah.
break into my house all the time. We'd have to line dry their clothes for a week, like. And then like we looked at each other and we were like, we had it so rough, but at the same time we had it so good because we didn't have phones. We could kind of go wherever we want. We created all these memories that that kids don't have nowadays. So maybe while it was bad, it was also, really good.
It was.
We certainly gave our kids a better life than we had, for sure.
100%.
So how did it go? Did it go good?
I think she's ready for some tequila.
Don't worry, I have
that's
Jay
right.
making us another round.
All right. You guys enjoy your rebirth day.
We're gonna have the best time ever.
Thank
All right.
Tasting tomorrow for
Send me
sure.
pictures, and I think this will post tomorrow or the next day, so we'll
Awesome.
tag you on it.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Guys,
you.
Good to see you guys.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Again, I just want to thank Deborah for joining me. That was really long. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of the walk down memory lane, and of course, her story is just so incredible. Again, I do want to let you know that if you do know someone that is in danger from domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or visit thehotline.org for help. We will see you next week.